Hello and welcome to Polyhedron Collider. I'm Andy, and they say go big or go home, and well, as I'm already at home, I've gone big with too many bones. Ordinarily, the name of a game will give a clue as to the content, theme or idea behind it. It seems that chip theory games beg to differ, and named this game based on moon logic. For the game, Too Many Bones is not about, as you might expect, skeletons, pirates, the undead, or even the exploits of an enthusiastic gravedigger with hoarding tendencies. Too Many Bones follows the exploits of a group of gearlocks, a sort of hybrid of elves and goblins with a fascination for steampunk technology. This handy bunch of forest-dwelling beings have taken it upon themselves to liberate the lands of one of the many tyrants that rule the place. You and your mates each choose one of the available characters, 4 in the base game, expandable up to 12 if you have a crippling fear of money, and grab the rather lovely associated set of custom dice, 20 for each character, for your chosen gearlock hero or heroine. Too Many Bones is an encounter-based game set over a number of in-game days, defined by the big bad you've chosen to face. This then defines the number of encounter cards you'll start with, along with some predefined ones to get the ball rolling. Draw a card each day, make a team choice, which may result in a battle, recover, open any loot you get, advance the day marker, and rinse and repeat. So it's all very straightforward and slick on the face of things. When Too Many Bones says it's a dice builder RPG, it really means it. There are over 130 dice in the base game, and in a 4-player game you may need most of them. So lots of polyhedrons flying around, which makes for the good times. Component quality is extremely high. All dice are custom printed, and all the neoprene mats are sewn on the edges to prevent fraying. Cards and cheat sheets are all plasticized to prevent tearing and water damage. Now remember, beer is mandatory during an RPG, and every character, baddie and tyrant are represented by these wonderful hefty poker chips. What makes Too Many Bones so much fun is what you do during the game and how you build your characters up with all their attributes and skills. Broadly speaking, each gearlock has 4 stats, some semi-permanent dice slots and 16 skill slots. A lot of the enjoyment comes in how you improve your character after each encounter and then subsequently put these upgrades to good use in the next Barney. And whilst on the subject, getting into a scrap is the other major part of Too Many Bones. However, unlike many RPGs, combat is relatively straightforward and usually involves simply rolling a bunch of dice and making quick decisions. Of course, the beauty here is which dice. Within the limits of your stats, you can roll pretty much any combination of attack, defense and skill dice, and it's this combination that makes the combat a difficult and tense affair. Picking between the possibility of hitting for an additional point of damage, or maybe a better defense, or making use of that new and exciting skill you've been dying to use, makes for the all-important difficult decision that we love so much. Then you can groan as you roll a plethora of bones, always too many, and set yourself up for a kicking from the baddies. Combat isn't dogged by the usual limits of more traditional RPGs. There's no line of sight or anything like that. It's pick your target and hit them with big sticks. You can move around, but since the arena is small, there's less need to do so, so it's one less thing to worry about. To make things a bit more interesting, there are the usual concoctions of conditions: poisoned, stunned, flying, and so on and so forth. Each has an effect on the game, and in turn, your team's strategy. The other great thing about combat is it's really visual. Each gearlock and baddie is represented by a very fancy poker chip. Hit points are noted by a stack of red chips below the character chip, and the whole pile moves around as one. It's very striking and easy to track. Lose hit points and your stack gets smaller. Once it's wiped out, you're taken off the board, and it's the last side standing that wins. Unfortunately, Too Many Bones does have one standout problem, which takes the form of the rulebook. It's a strange thing in itself because when you're reading it, it makes perfect sense. Then you start to play and realise you haven't the foggiest idea on how to proceed. Navigating the rulebook is about as straightforward as wandering through a marsh in the dark, and many of the rules aren't even in the rulebook. They're on the character cheat sheets or the game guide. Now, characters are all different, so it's easy to see the logic here, but there's no excuse for a rulebook that's this badly organised. Finding the particular rulebook is not straightforward. However, the best thing about the rulebook is the walkthrough at the back, which I strongly recommend you go through. Thing is, once you've gone through a game of Too Many Bones, everything clicks into place, and it's all really straightforward. The game scales from 1 solo to 4 players, there's even a dedicated solo encounter deck, and it's all as smooth as a Teflon enema. It's got that great gimme more feeling whenever you complete or fail a quest, which really can't be bad. Character customization is pretty much unlimited, and with up to 12 of the critters in a fully expanded game, there's endless scope for development, millions of quest combinations, and an all-important role that can make or break a quest. Now, all this pimp, bling and super-duper production comes at a price. Quite a hefty one, in fact. The base box weighs in at a tasty £93 RRP, although given the amount that you get in your box, that's not actually too bad. Yes, it's extremely well presented, and you might think it's slightly overproduced, but nearly everything in the box is needed, and it really does feel like value for money. I recommend the use of a forklift, though. It's not exactly light, especially fully expanded. Which moves us neatly to the large lump you see before me, the Trove Chest. It's probably obvious, but the base game of Too Many Bones doesn't come with this MDF behemoth, but it is available from Chip Theory and makes absolute sense if you've done what I and many others have done. Got yourself addicted, fallen down the Too Many Bones gear lock hole and gone all in. The chest itself is well presented, solid storage solution for the game with a number of sliding drawers to contain all the bits, of which there are many. Fully expanded and with a few optional extras, Too Many Bones currently weighs in at 12 gearlocks, 19 tyrants, dozens of minion baddies, hundreds of encounter and loot cards, and a pile of neoprene large enough to fashion your own wetsuit. The chest is organised to contain each of the gearlock dice sets in their own individual boxes. Tyrants each have their own box too for chip, dice and cards. The mats all sit together and there's tons of room at the bottom for the baddie and hit point chips. The result of all of this utterly unnecessary pimp is a faster setup time, easier storage, and the massive wow factor when you wheel it out. Literally, don't try to lift it. Plus, the Trove Chest fits perfectly into a Kallax, unlike the base box. Those crafty beggars at Chip Theory really have thought of everything. Resisting buying some things can be a good thing for one's wallet, but in the case of Too Many Bones, I am extremely glad I gave in and bought the lot. I heartily recommend you do too, even if it means you subsist on beans for the rest of your days.